the stock market. All of us are trying to make some money.
They're not actually meme stocks. They're profitable businesses.
Movements in the price action are somewhat predictable.
You guys keep glossing over that like it's not important. It is important.
$2 trillion in assets. That's what differentiates.
No, listen.
Ooh, hold on. We got Big Boy in the chat.
I can vote with my dollar.
It's a principle thing. It's not financial.
Why don't you just keep DCAing into the high quality companies and you'll do okay?
Palantir is the most exciting company in the world.
We provide the entertainment. That's what we do here.
Can we ring the bell?
Alexa, activate studio mode.
Welcome everybody to Finance Junkies. We are back on a Monday night. How are you guys doing?
Good. I mean, I'd say happy Monday, but that's an oxymoron.
I like how organized we are with the intros and then shuffling all us around.
Pick a card. Any card.
That's why I kept stuttering.
In the chat, did it start right away? Did the intro start right away, or was it like?
I was looking at my phone. I think it was perfect.
Was it okay? Because all right, cool. So I think we finally figured that out.
I'm surprised StreamYard doesn't have like an automated feature where it automatically plays.
We gotta move to something automated.
Worked great for that. You could preload it, and it was like roll to it.
Yeah, StreamYard's got to do a better job on that.
Check.
Losing ground.
All right, so we're here Monday. Quick announcement, guys. We are not doing Sunday episodes anymore. It's just becoming too hard for all four of us to meet on Sunday nights, especially with like family obligations. Sometimes people go to parties, events. So we're going to be Monday through Thursday. No more Sundays. You guys can spend some time with your family on Sundays. Yeah, so that's the announcement. We'll just be here Monday through Thursday.
Our overlord said, he contacted us. He's like, you know what? I don't want to do Sundays anymore. You cool with that, guys?
Dude, Sundays are tough now at night. There's just so much shit going on. It's like, all right.
It's like an earnings call. We're reducing headcount. We're just making inefficiencies to try to streamline our operations.
Yeah, pretty much, basically. Okay, let's start off with first topic of the day, which is Vision Pro. This is super interesting. Apple sold out of all the Vision Pros that they wanted to get out into the world. Nice tweet by Gene Munster. 2007 iPhone opening weekend sales hit 270K with an ASP of about 450. That means total revenue was 122 million. While Apple did not report this, Vision Pro likely sold 150,000 units on opening weekend with about 3,800 average selling price, which translates to about 555 million in revenue, 4.5x higher than the iPhone. He thinks it'll take 730 days to reach the 1 million unit milestone. So the question here is this really Apple's next S-curve, given we saw the pretty much like sold out demand that they had for the pre-orders, or was this just tech enthusiasts, Silicon Valley bros that were excited about it, and it's not really a mass market product yet? Well, let's start with Chris, and then we'll go to Carlos. Go ahead, Chris.
You know, seeing how much demand there is, I would say that this is the first generation. So I think a lot of people are just like getting onto the novelty, but I'm not so sure I'm sold on the idea of strapping a computer to your head for a prolonged period of time. MKHD had the same thing. You know, he was like, oh, you know what? This will be something that I use, but this is not one of those things that's a replacement for your daily driver. So I'm sure that the novelty is going to wear off rather quickly. I think there is a bull case to be made about Apple going into the future, but the Vision Pro is not necessarily one of them at the moment. So, yeah.
Okay, Carlos, you pre-ordered one of these.
Yeah.
Why are you bullish?
Well, I mean, we've had that conversation before, but yeah, I pre-ordered one. The process was actually pretty easy. I thought I had to go to the Apple store to like get fitted, but since I wear contact lenses that correct my vision, I didn't need any of the additional lenses. You go on the website, you go on the Apple Store app. It scans your face like it did the first time you do Face ID. Then it automatically sizes you, and then you just add anything to the card. One thing that was interesting was there was a bunch of like even aftermarket controllers. They actually make, I didn't realize that, they make a PlayStation controller that will work with the Vision Pro that you could buy on day one. I was like, that's interesting.
As long as it's Bluetooth, I'm sure lots of controllers will work with it.
But it like on the Apple Store, it was like a white Apple looking PlayStation controller. So I'm like, that's interesting, because I don't know. I just didn't expect that you would see that at least day one. That's what it was. So it's scheduled to get here March 2nd. I'm getting the updates, like the shipping updates, and I did the 0%.
What was your cost?
$34.99. I did the 0% financing on the Apple card. And so it's 100 and something bucks a month for 48 months. After 48 months, you'll be paying off at 0%. Plus, you get 3% cash back because I used their thing. I think to 3
Save
or 4%
money.
cash back. So
Here's a question: Is this a tax write-off? Because technically, you use, yeah,
100%.
isn't it?
100%.
Yeah.
And look,
why
I'm
not?
not a fan of
The computer.
considering. I'm not a fan of considering tax write-offs like, oh, I suddenly made money. I still had to spend $3,500. But you're right. I'm going to get some use out of it. I will write it off. And I got some articles here. So check this out. This is we'll go bearish first because this was an interesting take on it. Okay, check this out. What is this one? Yeah,
Blake says
this
he'll
one.
use it to look at women. Let's be honest.
I look at women in real life. I got my woman here. So initial demand for Apple's Vision Pro headset could wane, top analysts caution. Apple's Vision Pro sold out quickly after pre-orders for it opened on Friday, but early signs could mean that demand is waning. Shipping times for all models of the Vision Pro increased to 5 to 7 weeks in a matter of hours, indicating a rapid sellout of the product. But those extended shipping times remained unchanged 48 hours after pre-orders opened, who wrote that it raises a major concern. So he's saying shipping times for the model, estimated they sold 186,000. He said it's a major concern that demand may quickly taper off after the core fans and heavy users place their orders. Popular iPhone models also sell out immediately upon pre-order, and shipping times typically increase to several weeks within hours. However, unlike Vision Pro, iPhone models usually continue to see a steady increase in shipping times 24 to 48 hours after pre-orders, indicating that demand continues to grow even after the initial sellout. It should not be challenging for Apple to ship 500,000 units this year. Previously forecast the company would only produce 60 to 80,000. So that was interesting. I guess something we have to watch is the wait times. That's something that we have to watch.
See, my thing comes down to if people are using this every day, they'll have plenty of demand. But if they're not, there's going to be a lot of returns, and the demand's not going to be there for the second or third models if there's not a use case every day.
Look,
And-
even if there isn't the demand that we expect, they're still going to make the second and third model.
Of
And if
course,
you,
yeah.
and you could argue that the Apple Watch did not really take off until the version 3. The first one, early adopters were the only ones that bought it. It was basically a remote for your iPhone, didn't really do much. Version 2 and 3, it started getting better. And once it started to do a lot more of the processing on device, it became a legitimate, a legitimate peripheral. And you could say that's when it became a success. So either way, they're going to keep making these. I've read articles that they've already got the next 2 versions of it, lower cost with some of the features removed. So it's not going to be going anywhere. It's just a matter of how long will it take to reach adoption. And when it does, is it going to be like the AirPods, or is it going to be, how much
Worse,
penetration is it? How much penetration is it going to get actually? But it's worth noting, check this out. Just doing some research. I was trying to find the most up-to-date numbers. Hold on.
Real quick, while you're pulling that up, Vitaly, what were your thoughts on this? You think it's going to be a hit or no?
Well, I think Apple has a lot of fans, so I'm not surprised that 150,000 sold out. It's really, can they scale to tens of millions? Because look, VR can't be real unless we sell tens or hundreds of millions of these things. So
Yeah.
Yes, I think it's a good start. I think Apple has a high-end product. And I still don't think it competes with Meta at all. Zero competition, because parents are going to buy the $200 Oculus 2 as opposed to even the $500 Oculus 3, which is still selling. So I don't think this is the issue. The issue is like, can Apple get it down to a price point where I'm interested even to buy it for my kids? And so that would be under $1,000 or $1,500 at least for me. At $3,500, it's not a non-starter. I can't buy 3 of them. Like, I bought 3 Quests, but I'm not buying 3 of these guys. But it's still good. They sold 150,000. The technology is high end, which is important to get people excited. So hopefully the fanboys have enough room to make it grow to like the next level, which is maybe 500,000 or 1 million of them. So I actually hope it grows, because it'll just help VR. It'll help Meta. That's my opinion, that it helps both companies.
I was looking for Quest 3 sales numbers. Now, this was before the holiday, so I want to know what they did before the holiday. But if you look, of all the major territories where headsets are sold, came up with the following results. Meta has sold approximately 240,000 headsets in the last 30 days. Of those, 163 were actually the Meta Quest 2. This is last year, leading into Christmas, okay, when the Meta Quest 3 was announced. And roughly 69,000 of those are Meta Quest 3s. So that, to me, makes the number that they were able to pre-order that much more impressive, because this is, you would argue that this is a much more mature product. And I was seeing this too, that the Quest 2 was outselling the 3 for a while. So this goes to my argument about price point. If you continue to try to make the argument for price point, they're going to just keep wanting the cheaper and cheaper ones. And if they continue to lose money and not make this device profitable, it's a race to the bottom. What is this one?
Well, Meta's whole point is not to be profitable on the hardware. We know that. They want everybody in their ecosystem to sell ads to them. So it's a different business model completely.
Yeah, you got to sell them a lot of ads, depending on how much money you're losing if you're selling the hardware. And my argument would be that, I mean, these Vision Pros are going to be profitable day one.
I don't know.
I saw an article.
What is Facebook's ads per user? How much was it? They have pretty high ads per user.
I mean, in the United States and Canada, it's like $35-$40 per user.
It's not that much to get to $200.
Yeah, but you also got to monetize them in the metaverse. So these people need to buy that product for you to deliver them that ad. And so that becomes the question. You know my point. I don't think this is good for Meta at all, but we'll see how it plays out. I did want to share.
All I know is there's a game, like I keep going back to, my kids are playing Gorilla Tag, and I've spent at least $250 that Meta gets 30% of buying digital coins so they can buy garbage in the metaverse.
Yeah, but that game Palomar, what is that game, Palo Wars or whatever, just unseated it. Like there's always the flavor of like the game of the
Well, yeah, I'm saying as long as the kids want to play it, Roblox or whatever it is.
You know. Anyway, I wanted to this is something else. And again, this is from late December. Sales of VR and AR headsets have plummeted nearly 40% in 2023. Meta's continued to burn through billions of dollars a quarter developing the metaverse. The debut in October of Meta Quest 3 headset lifted the VR market over the holiday period, but wasn't enough to make up for the rest of 2024. So what do we got here? Is it sales of VR headsets and augmented reality glasses plummeted 40% to 664 million in 2023. That's a much steeper drop than last year. So the year before, it had dropped only 2%. This coming year, it dropped 40%. While Zuckerberg said in announcing the pivot to Meta in late 2021 that it would likely take a decade to reach 1 billion users, he may need to start showing more optimistic data to appease a shareholder base that's been critical of the company's hefty and risky investments. Thus far, it hasn't been a breakout success or killer app to validate the vision. Meta's Reality Lab Units, which is developing AR, lost $3.7 billion in the third quarter on sales of $210 million. The division lost about $25 billion since the beginning of 2025. Bosworth here, what was this? Chief Technology Officer Andrew Bosworth, who runs Reality Labs. He says the artificial intelligence and metaverse Meta are two long-term bets on technologies of the future, and they're beginning to intersect in the form of products accessible to a huge number of users. Making long-term bets on emerging technologies isn't easy. It's not guaranteed to work, and it's certainly not cheap. It's also one of the most valuable things that technology can do, and the only way to remain relevant in the long run. So that wasn't necessarily a good. I want to see what the sales number were over Christmas, but it wasn't necessarily a good quarter for VR. So, if what they're saying is true, it's going to take 10 years to get the decade. What you want to see is those numbers just continually trending up. You would not want to see a big dip in the adaptation of VR, because that would lead me to believe that they're selling more units to the same people. And I don't know if I'm reading that information incorrectly. It's the people that are upgrading to a different one versus getting new users in. So if I buy a Meta Quest 3 and I have a Meta Quest 2, that's really only one purchase. You get what I'm saying? Because I can't use them both at the same time. And I'm not bringing in a new user into the space.
I think Apple's going to have to really prove this is I don't think Meta has proved this is a super real category yet. They proved it to a subset of people, which is cool. Apple's going to have to prove the billions of people Zucks is talking about can use it, can actually use it. And if Apple doesn't prove it, maybe Zucks does, but it's going to be hard to imagine any of them.
I'll say this. I think what both of those companies are doing is probably the absolute hardest technology possible to get anyone to adopt.
Which is why I think it's going to fail, quite frankly.
It's the hardest thing I think possible. We talked about like wearables. Okay, putting a chain, putting an AI pin, putting a watch. It is way different than what you're asking people to do with these headsets on their faces.
I quite frankly think it's stupid. I said this on my Mark Close the other day. I said we've gotten to a point of capitalism where these companies need to get growth, and they're trying to innovate bullshit for growth. Like, no one needs to wear something on their head, but they need to justify their next S curve, and it's just bullshit to me. Like, this was revolutionary.
Hold on, but I wouldn't go.
This thing is not revolutionary.
I wouldn't go so far as to say that the amount of money that they're spending R&D to be able to be.
No, but that doesn't matter. So when you get the Vision Pro in March, you will have to admit I'm right if you're not using it at least once a week. which I think within a couple months, you probably won't use it once a week.
If I'm not using it every day, I consider it a fail.
Okay, so then boom. So I think 99%
For more than
gonna be
gaming, right? For more than gaming, I have to use the thing every single day.
I want to point out, first
So
of
I'm
all,
using my laptop, you know?
gaming is such a big industry that it could support this on its own. That's number
No,
one.
no, it can't. I disagree.
Yes, it can. Number
No, it
two,
can't. No, it
I
can't.
don't think so either.
yes, it can.
No, but
At
Ty,
least
seriously,
it-
how many millions of people a day are going to be using this, and how big of a TAM
gaming
is
is a
that?
massive industry.
It's a
Massive.
$270 billion TAM globally. That's not
Listen,
massive
listen,
for like an S
that's
curve.
pretty, that's
And
pretty-
and people are
Or an S
perfectly-
curve?
people are perfectly fine with
But,
like
hold on. You have to get in somewhere. That's all I'm saying. You have to get in through the gaming channel because that's where the gamers are willing to adopt new technology, as we always have. The reason I bought my first computer, my Commodore 64, not because I was using it for business, but because I wanted a cool gaming thing that I can also make my own games in. That's when I was a kid. That's the way to get people in the door.
No, it's not a good way to get people. I bought a MacBook for work right now, for video editing, not for gaming. Like that was 20
this is
years
already
ago.
a
Your
developed,
example is-
established. Hold on, laptops are already developed and established. I'm talking about 1985 when not everybody had a computer. Okay, the reason I had a computer was the main reason was because yes, I told my parents I wanted to learn, but I wanted to play games. Okay,
Just remember one thing, guys. This is the first iteration of a new product. Usually over time, things become what? They become a lot less cumbersome. You get the market share, you understand what consumers are looking for. I would assume in the next 5 to 10 years that what you're wearing right now on your face, Amit, is exactly what the Meta Quest
I
X looks
disagree.
like, or the
I
or
so
the Apple
disagree,
Pro.
dude. I take the opposite side.
I see the miniaturization of technology and just the convenience part of it, augmented reality, 5G, all this stuff is going to be combining into something like a device that you can wear on the regular that does interface with you pretty
Chris,
easily.
do
It's
you
kind of like,
actually believe that's going to happen, or are you just saying?
yeah,
Because
I
I
think
have
so.
I do not believe that's happening at all.
The reason why I say that is because if you look at the first generation of cell phones when they first came out, that shit was giant briefcase. Like literally, it was a giant briefcase with a fucking phone cord attached to it and a giant battery, right? Now it's this thing. So, right now you're looking at the first versions of a new category. And I think 5 years, 10 years from now, if you're really a visionary and you go out into the 5-year mark, dude, I see chips becoming so microchized. Like they're like this. Batteries are so efficient that you could freaking run an entire day on glasses. And I think eventually you'll get a point where even the cameras are so small that literally they'll be able to project on the screen. I mean, technology has a way of getting better, faster, and cheaper. And this is, like I said, the first generation of things. It'd be interesting to see where things go. That's all.
I also wanted to point out a second thing. I agree. It is the first generation, but let's not forget we have two companies that don't even need, it's great to have another S curve, but there are two companies that can keep investing in this until it is successful. Because like how many other players are there that can do this kind of incredibly hard tech with all this back-end compute, VR, the lenses, all of this stuff, the microchips? Very few companies can do this. So we should be glad Meta and Apple are taking on this task. And Google's getting in further into the game, but there's nobody else who can make this happen besides like these big corporations.
Well, look, I agree with that. My only thing is I don't know how long the Meta investors are going to be okay with them not actually turning a profit on the hardware of it, especially if another company comes along and is making money at it. In other words, there could be pressure from Meta internally to raise their prices if they're showing that people can make and sell $3,500 at 160,000 units in a day. Now, granted, those were all early adopters, pent-up demand waiting to buy this thing. That's more than double what the Quest sold in Q4 or Q3. So again, we need more data, but that might put some pressure to say you guys got to start making money on these things, which could alienate the current user base. Where I disagree with Amit and agree with Chris is I would agree with you, Amit, if the Apple Watch did not exist. I had the Apple Watch Zero and the thing was just honestly, it was a piece of junk. It could barely do anything.
But respond to me this, Carlos.
But wait. I want to just say
people
this.
don't like wearing things on their head. The watch is different. It's convenient. The phone is very convenient. I don't think people want to wear glasses in social settings.
I'm trying to address that point. The point is, when we first got the watch, you understood that everything was being done on the phone and it was basically just a screen. The advancements that they made to make this thing, first of all, have all the processing on device. When you think about how small this thing actually is and what it's able to process, in addition to that, they were able to get battery life out of it that it could literally have the face on all day.
That's great, but why would people want to wear something on their face that does what the watch?
Because what I'm saying is, if they can do that in this form factor, just even doubling or tripling the size of this and being able to, hide that technology somewhere around your head, you could get 3, 4, 5 times the performance.
I'm not doubting they won't do that. I agree with Chris.
Right.
The tech will get there. Why would people? I need these glasses to see, but why would people want to wear some crazy
You
tech on
sound
their
like
face?
a boomer. You sound
No,
like a
I
boomer.
don't,
You
dude.
might not want to. There are people growing up who will.
There are not billions of people that will do that. You guys are wrong.
Here's-
on this.
You're not-
okay,
you're not
You guys are
billions
so
people.
wrong, dude.
Here, we talked about this. I've been saying forever. I think the real thing stopping people or slowing the adoption of AI is the input device. If Apple is right, there was a great tweet some guy posted today. I'm gonna
Dude,
post.
look at this photo of us three. You think us three 10 years from now want to wear like glasses on our face while we're taking these photos in social
10
settings?
years, but here's the thing:
Ridiculous.
10 years
Is
from
this
now,
your way to meet Kevin in the middle of this?
No, I'm just saying. I just saw it on my iPad. I'm like, we're not gonna
You
want to
know,
wear these clumsy.
10 years from
It
now,
might not even.
from now,
It might not even.
be a photo. It could be an experience of where we were in that moment. It could be a complete virtual, a capture of that exact moment in virtual reality that you can go back and experience. And maybe those are the things that you share. The idea of showing an image on a TV screen, you might look like some old man to somebody.
I think you guys.
Yeah,
are reaching, dude. I think you guys are
you don't
reaching so hard.
understand.
Really
I think you don't understand kids anymore. And I don't think you ever did because you never watched the movies. You never listened to the music. I don't think you got kids, even when you
No
were a
one
kid.
wants to wear junk on their face at a party. Everyone can take a phone. It's in your pocket. You can wear a watch. I'll give you that. Even though I think the watch is also like not.
You're
that
wearing
exciting.
junk on your face right now.
That's
What the
to
hell?
see. I need to see. Not. I don't
Right,
want to
so you-
BB boo bop on my fucking eyes. Like that's
Share-
ridiculous.
No one's
Share
saying
this.
that.
Share this for a second.
Can we bring up the all-time high for Meta that I've mentioned 2 years ago, and we have hit finally?
He tweeted that. I don't know who this guy is. It might be
Amit, can you bring that up?
Here, look, even the hardcore haters would never use an Apple device have been using so many technologies every waking moment of their life that Apple has invented. Arguably the single most influential company to ever exist, deserving of the highest market cap. So the first consumer device with a mouse and graphical user interface, ChatGPT, the first consumer device with a mouse and graphical interface was the Apple Macintosh, first consumer device with Microsoft Office, first consumer device with a trackpad, first consumer device with Wi-Fi.
This is not a good argument.
Like,
Just because they were first in
multi-touch,
other things does
first
not mean they're going
consumer
to
device with a mobile
read.
app. No,
like-
the point that he's making there is a lot of these things that are staples of the way technology companies operate right now, Apple literally invented them. So with their whole gazing and pinching, that could be the multi-touch. It could be the
by the way, Apple. So I want to just at least fix that misconception. Apple stole a lot of their beginning products with the mouse and all the pointing on the screen from
Xerox,
Xerox.
yeah.
It wasn't Apple inventing it. It was Steve Jobs, though, recognizing that was brilliant, and Xerox letting fucking Steve Jobs into the goddamn
They made it
factory.
popular.
to
They made it
create shit.
popular. Yeah.
Steve Jobs has never been the guy who created brand new things. He was the guy who recognized that this needed to be for everybody. That was his genius. So him inventing these things, he did not invent.
Everyone calling me a dumbass. I want to know, did you order the thing? And if you do order it, will you use it every day? Because I don't think any of you will. I don't think you'll use Vision 2, Vision 3, Vision 4. I don't care if it's the Ray-Ban glasses. You guys will not use it every day. And I think everyone will be wrong on this. I think I will be right.
Why do you have to use it every day for it to be super successful? I don't
Because if it's
understand.
an S curve and it replaces this, which is what Apple wants to do because they don't want to make iPhone 35, they need a new device. It has to be
I
what
still
Chris is
disagree.
talking
It
about.
has to replace that. I just disagree with that premise. I don't think it has to replace it. I think there's a tool for every
think
single
you need-
thing.
it needs to be a gap filler in the same way that, like, how do I explain? Okay, you have a desktop machine at home that you do most of your video processing on, but then you have a laptop that you use for your personal emailing and stuff, right? Back in the day, we didn't have that. You had just the one main computer. And at a certain point, they were able to create another market in between that and now sell you a laptop in addition to that. So the Vision Pro needs to be a device that fills in a gap, say from my laptop when I don't want to use that, I don't want to be on my desktop and a phone is too small. It needs to provide its own experience of some of the things that I do every day in a way that's unique to that, but is better than all of the other ones.
Yeah, my argument is those experiences are like maybe once every week. That is my argument. And maybe I'm wrong on that.
I'll give you a practical example.
Maybe. Let me ask you a question. Hold on. There is no other way to feel like this is becoming to telepresence where you feel like you're in a location with somebody. Like imagine you can just see your family anytime, like literally see your family
There's this thing called FaceTime.
No, I understand, but there you can actually be in the same room watching the same movie. Like that's a
don't-
big difference.
It's not.
That is a big
dude,
difference.
But you
Yes,
can
it
already
is.
do that with the Meta Quest right now. That's not anything new.
No,
I
no,
saw
no,
the
but I mean,
FaceTime
it's
demo by
getting to the
Apple on the
point-
VR. It's
All right, all
getting
right.
to the
Let's
point where-
let's move on. Let's move on. I think we've killed it with this.
Well,
But I think ultimately, I think something like this is probably the goal, where you just have like some contact lenses that you put in, and now you have like a computer on your face. I don't know how it interfaces with another device or whatever, if it needs to be. Can you just put it on real quick just to see? Ultimately, and Google is working on something like this.
Somebody posted about Google. Like, honestly,
Yeah.
the Google Glass, if it was released today, would do way better than it did back then.
I think it would fail again. I really do. But we'll continue this debate. We'll keep going. Let's move on to Tesla.
Should we make a
Well,
bet?
before you move on to Tesla, hold on. I want to
this?
show the Meta stock chart. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
We
I
have
don't
to
know why I-
congratulate you on making money. Is that what we have to do right now?
No. I just want yeah. No, I actually
That's
want-
basically what you need. You need your congratulations to.
well,
to
besides
get-
being
yes.
totally right and making shit tons of money on this, which was amazing, but
How much money did you make on Meta?
a lot. I mean, it's ridiculous now. And this is actually something to Chris. Chris, you see, it keeps going up. Like
Yeah.
stocks like this keep going up. So I don't know. Once again, I think Chris sold out a bit ago, but this is why when Chris founded, me and him invested heavily early on. It's why it's important to stick through. Like if you're working out a thesis, you know what I'm saying, and not.
Did
to
you
try
sell
to find
VITALY? Did you take profits or no?
I did take profits,
Okay. Like at
but
this
I
price
kept
at 380.
I kept half my position, more than half my position.
So you sold at 380 basically. Half your
No. I sold on the way up. So I was selling at 200, 250, 300. I was selling, but I sold half of it. The rest of it I am keeping, which was always my long-term plan, to keep half of my position. I always buy more when shit falls apart, and I always sell at least half when it's going up, and I just don't want the whole thing because sometimes I'm overexerted in a position. I never wanted Meta to get as big as it got. Never. All right.
Okay.
So,
Well, congrats.
but hold on. That's not what I want to show. I want to show the chart for Meta, which is interesting. Now I'm regretting selling it. But so Meta like totally left its long. Do you see this? Am I sharing this?
Yeah.
Okay. Meta left its long-term trend, which I was following, and I was just shocked that it just completely collapsed. It went out of its long-term trend. So as you can see, I hope I'm sharing the whole thing. Yeah, there you go. This is over 20 years of Meta. This is back into 2001. Yeah, is that right?
Dude, 2012 they went public. What are you talking about?
Sorry, 2000. My bad. 2012. So it's 10 years, 10 years plus of Meta. Now we are entering, which is kind of crazy. We're not even there yet, by the way. We're not in it yet. So we are entering possibly back into this channel. So if that's the case, I don't know. If we actually enter back in, if that's the case, then I mean the bottom of Meta in this channel, January 2025 is around $500, which would be insane. So we're not in the channel yet. We're not back inside, but I'm just pointing out that this is a real possibility if they get back into their growth mode and they're showing growth. And I just looked at their forward PE. If you go, you'll check it out. It's 22. It's not even that crazy. So I think we're going to be back in this channel. That's the bet I'm making now by keeping the rest of my shares.
Okay. There you go. If anyone's up on Meta, Big Billy, I'm up only 140%. For those that held, it was a good one to hold. Tesla, Chris, you said this bad boy was going to 150. It looks like it's going to collapse under 200. All of FinTwit is scared to buy Tesla right now. I don't see anyone that's really excited to buy at these prices given earnings are coming up and Elon's probably going to say something stupid. Your thoughts right now on Tesla price action?
I mean, it's fairly valued, right? So this has been the problem for Tesla, where the market got a little bit too happy with everything that's happening, and so right now we're just seeing it get back down to earth. So if you look at the chart, you can see basically, if you scroll down, right now the credit conditions are tight. On top of it, you're starting to see demand fall off because of now the supply of new inventory of cars is coming online like crazy. So a lot of the supply chains are kind of fixing themselves, which means Tesla is having to lower prices in order to maintain market share and maybe possibly even grow a little bit. China is very the Chinese market right now is weak. Their economy is not good, and China is a big market for Tesla. So yeah, I just think right now Tesla is starting to become more like valued like a traditional car company, even though they do have some business segments that are way outperforming the automotive side of things, but they're just still a very small part of Tesla's overall picture. So right now, even at today's prices, you're looking at a PE of about 79. You know, with operating margins starting to come down, even if there's a ton of upside growth in terms of revenue, you're still going to see some material weakness. So I wouldn't necessarily add Tesla at these prices, but if it drops low enough to the 150s, even 175s, there could be a play in the option side of things. I mean, this is the thing with Tesla.
Tesla has the same PE as NVIDIA right now.
Yeah, but NVIDIA is growing 170%.
Just putting it out there, 78.
Yeah, but that's exactly what Amit just said. You have to look at it from a growth perspective. Are you trying to value this company like a mature automotive company, or are you trying to value it like a growth company? And right now, the valuation is still like a growth company, even though growth has been slowing down materially, especially on the operating income side. So right now, people are less focused on top line revenue growth and more on just how much money can they keep maintaining. And then on top of it, the new products that they're launching, how successful are they going to be in the market, you know? So it'll be interesting to see.
Carlos, you buying Tesla right now?
If once it goes under 200, I'll start. Even knowing that, I'm like, I told you, I'm trying not to be irresponsible. Once it starts getting under 200, I think this is ridiculous at this point. We are buying it at prices that were essentially from 3 years ago. This is ridiculous.
Well, to push back against that real quick, do you think 3 years ago it was overvalued and it grew into the valuation?
No, I think I would say 3 years. I would say right now the stock should be somewhere in the $300 or $400 range, just based on what you know of the company. What Tesla is suffering right now, none of those things are directly a result of Tesla or its operations. A weak credit market is not their responsibility. A battle in a specific area, right, an area that's not safe for people to move products and services that affects their supply chain is not Tesla. It does affect their ability to get vehicles to people, but it does not change. I think what Tesla investors are investing in is knowing that the demand is there for the vehicles. Yes, there are things that are going to happen quarter to quarter that will prevent Tesla from being able to make those vehicles. Or if there's an unfavorable credit environment, Tesla will do what it can to address the affordability issue. But I think most Tesla investors looking at this are saying affordability is the biggest barrier to EVs. We're almost already there at parity. And every quarter that goes by, Tesla makes their vehicles more and more efficient. Every quarter that goes by, they learn how to make those vehicles even cheaper, how to squeeze a couple more dollars out of that vehicle, and that helps them affect their margins. And we also know that we've got Cybertruck is out now. There's rumors that they're going to announce deliveries of the Roadster coming soon. We know that we're going to get an idea of some new gigafactories, and the $25,000 vehicle plus FSD 12 just got launched. Like, this is why I'm saying with all of these things, is any of this stuff baked into the price, or are people still just looking at gross automotive margins? It's like, I'm shocked. But I'm not going to pass up the opportunity. And
let's get Chris on this, and then Vitaly, I'll get you. Go ahead, Chris.
There's also this precipitous drop in demand for EVs that's starting to happen in the background. I mean, you're starting to see even the major auto players talk about this and starting to cut back. On top of it, look at what's going on with Tesla's operating income. It's going down. You know, I mean, yeah, on quarterly, you can see it waffles here and there, but for the most part, on a TTM basis, it's in a downward trajectory. So yeah, of course, there's going to have some impact on the valuation of the company, right? So unless these start to go trend the other direction, which it can eventually get there, especially if some of its other product categories really start taking off. Yeah, I think the possibility is there for Tesla to get much higher, but right now the trend for Tesla is not in its favor. And so when the trends are against you, the best you can hope for is a reversal in that trend. But I don't necessarily see that.
If they were burning money, and deliveries were staying flat, and they weren't building factories, and they weren't turning into R&D, they weren't expanding the supercharging network, I would agree with you. But it's as important as their operating expenses or operating income going down is what they're spending that money on, right? They're also giving raises to key people at the factories. I think they're doing the right thing with the money. And I think Tesla's one of those companies that every dollar that they invest today comes back to them as $10 or $12, say a year or 2 years down the line. So I see it. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with
no, that's fine. But as a business owner, higher costs are going to play into your profitability. If profitability goes down, that's not good.
Right.
I understand the reasoning behind why Elon is doing
the money on. That's
yeah.
It's like, what are you spending?
Listen, I'm totally with you in that they should be building more factories. They should be paying employees higher salaries. All that stuff is great as a person, but as a shareholder, not what I'm looking for. I want to see the other end. I want to see more automation. I want to see less people on the line. I want to see more car sales, but at the same time, the margins are improving. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Even input costs. So, yeah.
Well, and all I'm saying, well, as a Tesla investor, the longer you wait to see those metrics, the higher valuation you're going to pay. You're looking for more security. The higher the valuation when you finally buy in and make that purchase to ride it up. By the time you get all of your boxes checked, we could be over $1 trillion is all I'm saying. And that's what I think. I think Tesla investors are literally just looking at, okay, I know that the demand is there for their vehicles. If they could just get the prices down, all these things that we're talking about adversely affecting the stock are keeping them from getting the prices down further. And that's, I think, is what you're speaking to with respect to EV adaptation. But if you look at global sales, just look at all the global vehicle sales. ICE vehicle sales peaked in 2018 and have never recovered to 2018 levels. So that's among everything, whether it's EV adoption or credit market. The ICE vehicle sales have never recovered from 2018 levels, and they are in a downward trend. So you have to
let me get VITALY in here. Are you buying?
Where are we going with this?
Are you buying at 200 right now, VITALY?
So I'm in between both of them in terms of KRIS, of course, I think is right. The valuation is stretched for it being a car company. We talked about this many times that, yes, if you see it as a car company, honestly, you shouldn't buy it, even if they make 10 million more cars. Like,
right.
It's just not worth it. It's too much risk. But if you understand that at some point, one of these products will become real, Dojo or the robot or FSD or in any form, and energy, especially, honestly, energy is still being built up. So if you understand that at some point these businesses become really big businesses, then that's when you DCA into Tesla. But I agree with Chris right now that if the trend is negative, and I agree with that, by the way, I haven't been buying Tesla at all. Okay. The last time I bought it was when it tanked to around 105, 120. That's when I was buying it. And I have not bought any more Tesla. So I am also waiting for 180, 175, 150.
Do you think on earnings, Elon says something stupid?
I think Tesla should be, if I was to say, what is Tesla valued at today? It should be $100 today. But nobody values great companies the way they should be worth today. They value it the way it should be worth tomorrow. So is it sort of in the fair value category right now? It probably is, but I have enough Tesla. So I'm just not interested in buying any more Tesla until it comes down. Am I interested in selling Tesla under $200? That's idiotic. Like, that means you don't believe in the long-term story of Tesla. So these two people here below me are absolutely right in everything they've said. But the fact is Tesla is heading down right now. That is happening.
What would be each of your number one question that you would ask Elon on the call, and you knew you were going to get the answer? I'll go first with mine and then see what you guys would. I would ask him about the 4680 cell. They don't talk about it enough, but I think that is the absolute key to everything Tesla wants to do in the future, is getting those cells up and running. They missed some of the targets in terms of how many they were going to make. It's absolutely essential for the Cybertruck.
Well, it's worse than that. The energy density of those batteries that they have now sucks balls. And the Cybertruck could be 500 miles for the tank, and it's not. And so a lot of things were missed in the Cybertruck, which I'm actually disappointed in. So you're right about the batteries. That should be better.
I think that's the number one question, because I think that is the key to get in the Cybertruck to the point where it makes a significant impact in their revenue. It's also a key for for future energy plays. Plus, it for that specific Model Y that qualifies for the full $7,500 tax credit, that's it. That one, you can't have any Chinese made or non-American made parts or any parts of the battery. So right now, that Model Y only qualifies for like $3,750. It would get a full $7,500, which I'm not mistaken. Keep me honest in the chat. That would actually make that specific Model Y cheaper than a comparably equipped Model 3. Which is crazy to think that why would you get a Model 3 if you can get a Model Y? So, and you could argue for the $25,000 vehicle, what you want is a 50 kilowatt hour pack of the 4680 cells. Keep the weight down, great power, and charging. So that to me would be the number one question. Where are we with the 4680 cells, and how is that playing into the entire supply chain? That would be my thing. What would be your question?
Chris, do you have one?
Yeah, I'd say.
Like, how much Celsius do you drink, Elon?
What's your future business prospects for the energy business? Are you planning on adding any more factories around the world? Because there seems to be a ton of forward demand for these mega packs. The price of commodities has come down to the point where profitability is increasing, and it's one of your best sellers. Are there any plans to expand out that business to compensate for the operating margin loss in the auto sector?
Basically,
Because
go all in on energy versus the car because energy is growing.
I would
way
say,
more.
Trent, I would say, yeah, I'd say on the energy side, you've already got a very successful clean energy. In order to transition into clean energy, you're going to have to dissipate these base load issues that you have with renewables. So Tesla has the greatest product there, and the competition is not really that great in that sector. So right now, if Tesla is able to scale up that business, I think it could be a real moneymaker for them, and it's high margin business. It doesn't take a lot to do these things. So right now, I know for a fact that they actually just set up a factory in Shanghai for that specific product. It's still going to be left to be seen how successful they are, but I think that's the key, right? There are other businesses outside the auto business that people need to start focusing on. I think too many people are just like, oh my God, FSD, oh my God, blah, blah. And I'm just like, bro, FSD and all this other stuff, these are nice gimmick selling points, but I wouldn't trust FSD. And I don't think it's going to be, I think it's going to be a long time before people really get into trusting FSD. On the other hand, I do see a business use case for a lot of people looking to transition away from fossil fuels and needing some sort of battery backup system in order to get through the night.
That's
You know
more
what I mean?
tangible
For
for
those
you.
things.
Way more tangible.
Right.
than FSD.
Exactly.
That was what you just asked was one of the 4 top most voted. He's going to be asked that question. If you look at the top 4 voted questions on the earnings call from retail, that was one of the 4 questions about. It was about energy.
And honestly, I don't want to hear about FSD,
about factory.
but I do want to hear what happened to the semi. It was released a year ago. They gave some to Pepsi, and then we never heard anything else about it.
That's a good point.
I think that was one of the questions too.
It's probably the unit economics and demand probably didn't pan out as good as a lot of people were hoping, because look, when it comes to trucking, there's an entire industry that's already built there. So to try to disrupt that business, it's not going to be something that happens overnight. First of all, you need the charging infrastructure for those trucks to make sense, right? If you don't have the charging infrastructure, you can't sell those trucks. Like, you can't just pull up to a Tesla charging station and charge a truck. So for very limited use cases,
it has to be per route. If there's
that's the thing. Most of the shipping is done on well-known routes, and so it's not as hard to build out the infrastructure for.
But it has to be built out first. The reason why Tesla has been one of the most successful EV companies is because of its supercharging stations, right? Elon figured that out, that before I try to transition everyone to EVs, if I don't have the infrastructure for people to go from point A to point B, I'll never be able to convince someone to buy this car. So the investments that they made early on in that space have tangibly been really beneficial for Tesla to sell their cars. So the question now is, are they willing to work with the government to try to create more charging stations specifically built for trucking? And then how fast are they going to move on that? How much CapEx are they going to require to do that?
I think they got awarded some of that money, some of the money that came from the IRA. Tesla did qualify. That was part of what I think he was complaining about. But I think they did actually get awarded some of the money to build out the infrastructure. You'd assume that the trucking charging infrastructure is a part of it.
Okay, let's move on to PayPal.
What would be your question? And Vitaly's question was about what was your question, Vitaly? Semi energy. I was talking about 4680. Amit.
Dude, I would ask him if he could come on my podcast. Not us.
You want to know about Dogecoin?
I would literally like, hey, can you come on my podcast? Like, please.
We were talking before we went live. Dogecoin popped like 17% on rumors that was going to be the X.
Well, that's okay. So that transitions us really well.
Did you see that, dude?
So X launched X launched an account called Payments.
Yeah.
And PayPal, KRIS, CEO, has an account or has an event on January 25th that he said is going to shock the world. So there's two questions. A, is X going to be the collaboration with PayPal that's going to shock the world? Elon originally did come up with PayPal 20 years ago. Or is there something more sane of an idea? Rango says PayPal's going to use the AI data that they have, and they're going to leverage it to build out an ad platform. And that ad platform is going to give higher transaction margins because they're going to give merchants more traffic, and they're going to take a percentage of the traffic, kind of like an Amazon traffic fee, for their commission by getting more people onto the platform. They have so much data on the buy side and the sell side that if they can match the merchant with the consumer, I don't know how they would do this, but if they figure this out, those margins should go up because there's a new stream of revenue coming in, which is a real innovation that PayPal's never been able to do.
Right. Well, and also it gives that ad revenue. There might be some legs to that. Did you see how somebody found something in a in one like at a certain tier of Twitter premium where you go to amplify mode?
Yes. Yes.
Did you see about that? Where like
that's,
you literally
that's Twitter's program where
amplify
they push out your videos and they give you more ads, and it's in beta right now.
Yes. Yes. So I mean, in other words, the technology for what you're talking about, or what Rango's talking about, is there. It's just a matter of making that part of the service. But PayPal would have to be the company first before you.
They have 25% of the world's e-commerce. They process $3.8 billion a day. They have a shit ton of data on what everyone buys and what everyone sells. How can they connect those marketplaces to increase the conversion rate on the checkout for the merchants and make the user experience better? If they have some unique idea they present in 3 days and it's like serious, I mean, this stock, we already know it's undervalued. Like Shopify's doing this as well. Yeah, Shopify's already doing it in a sense. Maybe that's what they could end up doing.
Good idea.
Let's get Chris on this. Chris, what do you think they're going to do? Or do you think there's any legs to this?
I don't know, man. Whenever this thing comes out, then I'll be able to analyze it. Like I can't speculate on. We have this greatest thing coming out in January. When it comes out, I'll analyze. You know.
Vitaly, any thoughts on if X is working with PayPal and that's the announcement?
I don't think so. I don't think PayPal needs X, first of all, at all.
I agree.
So I think there's going to be some announcement connecting buyers and sellers. I'm not sure what that is. So we should wait till it actually happens. It's fun to, I guess, speculate, but I don't think it'll be life-changing, and the stock is probably going to go down.
Yeah. Carlos, do you think they could work together, X and Twitter? I mean, Twitter and PayPal?
It doesn't. It's not a ridiculous. It's not a ridiculous speculation to think, well, the company that he had started, Elon knows a lot about payments, is now going to work within his company. When he was working at PayPal, he had to have known how much it would have been good for his business if he had access to what the social media companies. And now he's on the other side thinking, oh, we can solve some of the problems that these companies are having. It's not ridiculous speculation to think that it could happen. I think it would be good for PayPal stock, and it would be good for Twitter. The reason why I'm skeptical is because I don't see where the downside is. Like, what am I missing? Who's getting fucked over if they do this? Because there's typically a trade-off. It just seems like such a brilliant, no-brainer idea.
I just don't even know what the collaboration would be. Like, PayPal is for
you're on Twitter. You're on Twitter, and there's an ad for something, and you click buy. Twitter has you verified already. You connect your Twitter to your PayPal account, and anything that you want to buy, you click buy now, and it buys it in.
That's more of a Twitter Shopify partnership, not a Twitter PayPal partnership.
But that's what it would be.
No, it wouldn't, because PayPal's one of many ways to check out. You know, Shopify is the back end thing that powers a store on Twitter, and they already have a collaboration they announced a month ago.
But I'm saying, if you made it like, look. Say what you want about Instagram. It's really easy to buy shit on Instagram.
They got rid of shops.
They
got rid of that shit.
Fucking easy. You see something there, some bullshit. Like I bought. I'm sure you guys got the ad for it. That stupid new magnetic chess game that couples are supposed to play. You put the circle on the ground, and there's like these magnets, and I'm like, oh, it was like $8. I was like, oh, this could be fun. I would have never bought that if I was at Target, but because it was $8 and it was on my phone, it was like swipe here. It had all my information. I bought it. It'll arrive. Same thing.
But again, the problem is Twitter ads suck too. They're not good at Target. I don't think there's a collaboration here, dude. I think it's reaching. I think most people on Twitter over the weekend thought it was going to happen, but I do think he's going to announce something cool. I just don't think they don't. I agree with Vitaly. They don't need Twitter. Like, they don't.
But you're the CEO of PayPal. You certainly wouldn't turn it away. The problem with what he said is we're going to shock the world. Unless he actually shocks the world, the stock's going to the 40s.
The stock's going to shock down.
You better fucking shock the world, man. You better shock the world.
Said that. You shouldn't have
you shouldn't say that. Exactly. Unless you really, I don't know.
Carrie's
Shock
I
the world.
don't know.
We
We're
have
gonna find out.
nothing.
We're gonna find out.
Harry
Speaking
says
of guys,
PayPal.
No, you know what he's going to say? He's going to come out. We're using AI to connect our customers.
Yeah, who said that in the chat? Say AI 500 times on your earnings call and your stock.
Dude, if
AI
PayPal
runs our
becomes
backend.
if PayPal becomes the most undervalued AI play in the market,
Oh,
there's
boy.
140,000 call options open for a $140 strike January 2025.
So
A
what
lot
are
of
the
people.
what? All right. So what do they know? When
All I
do
know,
they,
Jesse makes 10 million. I make a good chunk too. That's all I know.
Yeah, if it goes to 140 and Jesse doesn't sell any of his 3,000 contracts, he makes $10 million off of 300 grand.
Or like
what, see
30
his,
million. I
see his
forgot what he
YouTube, you saw his YouTube video where he was doing the options calculator.
Yeah, he was just like gushing over it. He's like, I'm gonna
Ridiculous
make so
numbers,
much.
man.
I think they'll announce something. I just don't think it's anything with X.
Yeah, but also it's I don't know. They're saying that it's X payments. I don't know.
So I want to point out, PayPal's been, besides the euphoria phase in the middle of COVID, PayPal's been like the same shitty stock for like 6 years, 7 years, right? Something like that?
Yeah.
Just remember that, people. Okay.
No.
It reminds me a lot of what Twitter stock was before. This dead, sideways moving stock. It's just there.
It's
so
possible we all bought a value trap. That's what I keep
It's
thinking.
very possible.
shock the
With
world.
my calls that I do have, okay, but it's possible that we bought
Right,
a
but the
value.
stock needs to go up for us to make money on these calls. Like, unfortunately, we need
I have
somebody,
only until 2026, people. Okay.
somebody to come in here and buy the shit.
Okay, let's end it on this. Chris, you went to a wedding this weekend and you saw a lot of these drinks there. Why are you bullish as the stock has dropped about 15% on Celsius? It's your basic thesis.
Young people love Celsius. That's it. Peter Lynch, follow what you see. I saw during the wedding, I saw a bunch of people drinking Celsius all over the place. Younger crowd loves it. I spoke to a bunch of my relatives or gas station owners. They said Celsius is a product that's been moving amongst the younger crowd. That's it. I looked at the metrics. I looked at some of the data that I'm seeing in terms of the growth in energy drinks. These guys have something very special behind them, which is a combination of branding and distribution. So, to some degree, they might seem a little bit overvalued, primarily because of their PE numbers, which I think a lot of people are looking at. They're also looking at its comparison to Monster, like you did with Steve. And I believe there's a false equivalence there. And I think Celsius is due to grow 5 to 10x from here.
What is the PE right now?
Right now,
Yeah.
P is about 109.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But its growth rate is much, much more than you think. And it's a $12 billion company. So you're looking at a company who's, like I said, there's a lot more to it that I will go over during the Patreon, because there's a lot of DD that I have on it. But yeah,
Won't let us know. Let us know.
I mean, join the Patreon and you'll know, right?
I mean, look at that. It's up 4,215.
This is why I'm like not bearish, but I just don't like this. It's already up a lot. They're 1/5 of Monster's market cap. You're telling me valuation doesn't matter because it's a Peter Lynch play, but valuation I feel like matters if they got to take away market share
It's
from
already 1/5 of Monster. Oh wow,
the market cap, not the
That's
market
crazy.
share. So
No,
for
I
them to
believe you.
double from here, they have to take something away from Red Bull and Monster. And it's a gym drink. It's not an energy drink that you drink at the bar with your boys, like not a Red Bull and vodka. That's where I'm just like.
So this is
Oh.
where you have to follow the research and you'll see exactly why their trajectory is the way that they are. The other thing is you have to take these inflection points and understand why they're valued much more than they. Let me just pull it up really quickly. The inflection point for these guys only came recently. So to look at it from 7 years ago and say this is the same company and same product is really not the way I'd look at it. Once you've hit these S curves, as people like to say, that is what Celsius is doing right now. They have hit an S curve in not just revenue growth. Look at this. You see this linear move up? This is what you call an S curve, right? And the S curve does not look like it's slowing down anytime soon. Look at this. Look at this monster thing. Most of this is thanks to its partnership with Pepsi and getting its distribution channels really, really lined up. And I think this is just the beginning of the S curve for these guys. So if you look at Monster's growth rate, it's growing at about 16% per annum, right? On a 3-year CAGR basis. These guys are CAGRing at 113%. So even if there is a slowdown, I can definitely see them slowing down. It's not nearly the amount that's gonna justify the lower valuation. On top of it, they're already in operating income positive mode.
You mean they're profitable? These guys make money?
Yeah, they make money. Look at this, and they've made money consistently. So they went from 44 million to 64 to $100 million a quarter. So on a TTM basis, you're looking at close to, and if they can do this, almost like 400 million in terms of just income, so I'd say this company's got a lot of future potential ahead of it. The management is doing its part to be conservative with their costs and make sure that they're doing things in a profitable way. They're on the minds of a lot of younger people. There's a lot of branding there that's also very important to look at. And I'll show you exactly the branding that gets me excited. Give me 1 second.
You don't think at all that they're anti-American?
Why would they be anti-American?
Because they're Celsius. They're using the metric system.
Great joke. Great joke.
I knew that.
How are none of you cracking a smile, dude?
Because I thought you would have.
A+ fucking. You know what I said on the pod today on the morning open? I said, guys, it's a green day, and you didn't even have to wake up when September ended.
Okay.
There was
Iconic song. Classic. I integrated it into the joke. I mean,
How many
come
parties have you ruined in
Come
your
on.
life?
What we need is a sound effect to quantify how we feel.
This is the picture that did it for me. In terms of all the DD, all the numbers, all that bullshit. Put that shit to the side.
Shit. There we
Put
go.
that
You gotta
shit to the
follow
side.
the bitches. That's what
You
Chris
said
said.
that,
But that's
not
what
me.
Chris said on our
I
pre-discussion.
didn't
He's
say
not
that.
saying
I
it
didn't
now,
say
but
that.
that's what Chris
You're
said.
gonna
say
be
that.
canceled now, dude.
He's like,
I
I'm
didn't say
bullish
that.
on that shorty in the middle with them 3D glasses on.
I did not say that.
Bro,
So
You
your
know?
your bull case is girls drink it, Chris. That's your bull case.
I mean, I don't see any Lizzos drinking it. You know what I'm saying? When Lizzo starts drinking this shit, I'm out. But Lizzo's not drinking it. All these skinny chicks are drinking it, and skinny chicks follow each other. So pretty much it. That's it. This is the picture that did it
You
for
are
me.
being canceled for
We
sure.
both are
That's
getting
good.
canceled tonight. Yeah, I
Uh,
like it.
I actually like Celsius in terms of like if I was to pick a drink or a company for food or whatever, I actually think it does have a lot of potential. But the problem is I just never know enough about these drink or food companies to
It's because you're a boomer, bro. We're all boomers. These kids, these
No,
young
but I
kids.
admit,
they're
see,
the
I
ones.
admit it. I'm not like a mid who says like, oh, nobody will wear in the glasses in the future.
No one's wearing some of these stupid glasses, dude. You
I
guys are
understand that
ridiculous.
I don't get food or drink or like Celsius. I've never tried it, so it's just hard for me to make a commitment to investing in it because I know nothing about it. But it does sound interesting.
My whole thing is I feel like I've lived through a bunch of those like eras of specific drinks with like Snapple was like the most consumed drink. All was all over the place. Then it was vitamin water. Then eventually Red Bull. Then it was Monster. And I feel like they're all selling the same drink to a different generation of that same age group, right? And so in 5 or 10 more years, I don't see people still drinking. Just like I don't see people running out to get vitamin water today or Snapple.
Yeah, but you can have like 4 good years and then
Yeah,
you
that's
move
what
on.
I'm saying. You get like 4 or 5 good, 6, 7, 8 good years, and then you just disappear. And I looked up just now, like vitamin water is owned by Coca-Cola. But I mean, in its run up, back then that was 50 Cent's company. He started that. He made it big. All the rappers, everyone was drinking vitamin water. The company swelled, and then Coca-Cola bought them up. Who's to say that that doesn't happen with a company?
So this
like
is where you have to look at something like Monster. Okay. This is Monster's annual revenue for the last 10 years. Do you see this on a TTM basis, this linear growth up? Because what you're seeing, Carlos, is that yes, there are fads here and there, but for the most part, especially if you look internationally, that's the part that a lot of people miss out on. While the US right now is one market where Celsius is doing crazy good, they still have other markets that they can penetrate and do very well on. So not only are they grabbing market share, in the energy drink space. But on top of it, the energy drink space is growing around the world as well. So I think, like I said, there's more to this
There's room, right?
than
There's room.
yeah. There's a lot more room for growth. So you ask 20 years ago, people drinking energy drinks, it wasn't a thing. Now everyone drinks them. So
Well, look, also to your point, when did the Olympics come out? When are the Summer Games coming back? If they make a deal and they become like the official drink of the Olympics, which they barter those deals, or the official drink of one of the sports, they'll do well.
I mean, they're doing their
sponsor of UFC, right? So all the fighters, when they win, they hold up the freaking Monster drink. It's like,
yeah, and they're doing that with, I think, MLS right now. Hold on one second.
Major League Soccer.
And they've also, yeah, they do that. They do a lot of like influencers as well. So they are doing the right thing in terms of branding. There's, like I said, I don't want to give the DD out for free, so I'm sorry, guys. You're gonna have to join the Patreon to get it. But there is a lot of value to this company that people are just not necessarily understanding. So we'll see.
Guys, Carlos, I think, has a membership. He'll just post that on our Discord.
Post it on the Discord.
Join our Discord for free.
No, I am. I'm a member of Chris's.
I remember I pay
That's
$10
right.
a month. I read this shit every morning. Try to
just sell it
right.
as your DD, Carlos. Nobody will know.
I do it right. I do it. It's my tithe. Yeah, I'm gonna be like, guys, I got a great company we should talk about, Celsius.
All right.
All
You
right.
remember the guy? I just want to point out. Remember the guy who was going to share information for free for like ever, and he's the first one to put it behind a paywall. Just want to point that out.
Dude, when you become a hot thing, you can't become a
Like,
commodity.
yeah, when you
I
get
know. But he said
all
I
of
was
us.
the greedy one. He called me the greedy one.
You know,
You were the greedy one. I was gonna share in Patreon and say, yo, we should just do a what do you call it? Like a finance junkies Patreon. You said,
True.
nah, man, I want to keep my money. I said, okay, cool.
All right, let's
No
join you.
problem.
Let's join you.
Nah, too late now.
The
Too late
valuation
now.
is too high now. No,
The
it's like
valuation's too high. Can I take my lost money from AMIT and put it into your Patreon?
Well, you could also do that.
Yep.
One real quick thing, SMCI, Chris, I just wanted to say that you found that at 70 and now it's at 400. I mean, for anyone who got in February when we
That was a good
talked about
call.
this one, it's just an amazing call. In a year, it 5x, 6x, almost 7x actually. So shout out to
I would
Chris
say
for finding that one.
I'd say be careful with SMCI at these prices because, everyone has to remember when it comes to these new technologies and new industries, when they come up, everyone rides the hype train. My thesis on SMCI was that it was interlinked with the growth in AI from NVIDIA. So if NVIDIA was going to ride up, there were going to be secondary beneficiaries of that. So right now, everyone was looking at AI. And so a lot of people did really well on NVIDIA. I just said, you know what, who's the other beneficiary? And SMCI was the first to market with the hardware that supported the growth in NVIDIA. So they were just a little bit behind and the valuation was a lot more juicier. So, but
Now you think it's overvalued now at 430?
I wouldn't say it's overvalued, but it's like fairly valued. So you're not going to see a lot more upside, in my opinion, and the risk is a lot more now. My biggest risk in this current market is that people start to wake up to the idea that AI is not as profitable.
Yeah.
And that is the part that really people need to understand because, you take any industry, the internet. I'm gonna quote George Soros in this, and I showed you guys last time. There's 3 times where you can make money on this. Yeah, there's 3 times where you can make money. You can make money when the hype cycle begins and you ride it all the way up. You can make a ton of money shorting it when the hype cycle is at the top and it's going down, and then you can make money on whoever's left over to get to a point where things are naturally, at a good point. So if you look at the internet did the same thing. Everyone knew the internet was going to be a big thing. So everyone bought up all the crazy shit. The market went absolutely berserk. And then what happened? People realized that not every company is valuable. Things started to crash. And then whoever survived ended up doing really well over the next 10, 15 years. I think AI is going to be the same thing where right now everyone is talking about AI like it's the greatest thing since sliced bread. Eventually we're going to hit a top and we are going to see a move down. And SMCI is in a position where they make hardware. Hardware inherently is a low margin business. right? You don't want to be in low margin businesses that are very cyclical. That is the problem with semiconductors. The issue with someone like Michael Burry, who's short on semiconductor and is getting his ass completely handed to him, is that he tends to go into things a little too early. So he went in early on shorting semis. I think at some point there will be a point where we should be shorting semis. It's just not right now, and I wouldn't try to time it, So yeah. Some people think that they can time the market. I'm not one of them. I think the guy from Everything Money right now, his brother's probably like lost half of his net worth, because you guys know about the story.
What was he shorting?
What?
NVIDIA.
Wait,
NVIDIA.
Who's
the
brother?
guy Paul Gabriel from
Paul was shorting NVIDIA?
Oh my god.
He's been shorting NVIDIA, but here's the part that probably is crazy.
No way, dude.
He took his brother's money and shorted NVIDIA.
Wait, how do you know this? They did a video on this, or?
Yeah, he was on there. He did a video about it.
Well, when did he start shorting it? At 300?
I think 200 something actually.
Oh my
Dude,
god!
I gotta see this
He's
video.
lost
That's
everything.
great. He has to
Hold
be
on.
doubling down on the short. There's no way he covered at this point. He has to be doubling down.
No, he said he's going down with the ship.
So he's okay. So
That's
Uh,
dumb.
so he thinks NVIDIA gets back to 200. That's his thesis.
I don't know.
He could be bankrupt by the time it gets there.
Seriously, by the time it gets there, he's gonna be homeless.
That's the problem.
Hold
He
on,
could be
hang on.
right. He could be right in 2-3 years. Who cares? I mean, you can't sustain it.
Here, I found the link to one of these guys who did a video on the guy. Hold on one
Yeah, I
second.
actually want to watch it, dude. Actually,
Yeah,
that's
here we
wild.
go.
Well, at least he's arriving at the fact that it is not worth it. Like that's ultimately where it needs to be. I mean,
Hold on.
I'm covering everything, etc. Just last night we came up with our final decision. I'm covering everything from yesterday's close going forward. That is all my life. If it goes lower, it's on me. I will write him a check. Just being honest.
yeah. So he's assumed all liability, which is the right thing to do, I think, morally at this point. But he's significantly damaged.
Hold on, sorry.
I do not
Bro,
recommend
I got a great idea for you. Short NVIDIA, bro. That's
Will I
awesome.
close my shorts of NVIDIA beats? No. I'm going down with this fucking ship. I do not recommend that.
Terrible.
He said, "I'm going down with the fucking ship, dude." That's a real man, though. He's like ready to.
I mean,
take
if you look at
it out.
NVIDIA stats, they're sort of how fast they're growing right now. At least they're not.
Dude, they're gonna
overvalued.
beat. They're gonna beat.
I'm saying they're not overvalued. So he wasn't looking at the current metrics. Like you should at least look at the current metrics. That maybe you're right
See,
in 2 years.
This is the problem fundamentally with some of the stuff that Everything Money does. Like they've been long on Baba forever, right? Because
Right.
they keep looking at the valuation, saying, "Oh, the valuation," and I'm just like, yeah, but geopolitically, Xi Jinping is back there saying, "I will bang Alibaba into the fucking ground." Until the narrative changes, Baba is not something you want to buy. That's just how it is. It's just you got to pay attention to what's going to move the stock. Valuation makes absolutely no, like in terms of value, Alibaba is awesome. Like right now, it is probably one of the most undervalued companies on a free cash flow per share basis and how much cash it has on its balance sheet. But it's all about the Chinese government and the Chinese economy. If that is screwed over, no matter what valuation you're looking at, it's not going to make sense.
Chris, can you explain this? He did naked put, so infinite possible loss. Can you explain to the audience what does that mean?
I think you know what?
Not any
Screw it.
shares.
Sell shares, and I will basically have to buy them at whatever open market prices there are. So he's just naked shorting it. He didn't even do it through fucking options, which is the easier way to do it.
So now he's
If
down
you-
300 to 400 a share.
I don't know how much he's down because I don't know what his entry price was. I don't know how much he put into it. All I know is that he's been pretty short on it and he got his brother into it. That's the other thing too. Like, bro, why would you get your siblings into your speculative bullshit? Don't do that.
Well, obviously, he didn't think it was speculative. He's like, it's an easy cash grab. His thinking was, because how high could it go?
Apparently, China just
that
announced they're doing a stock market rescue package of $278 billion.
Yeah. I think this is one of the reasons why there actually could be a turnaround in some of the Chinese names. But it's like I said, it's more around look at the commentary from these publications that are obviously obviously like controlled by the CCP. They will give you the inside loop on what the government is actually thinking. So right now, the Chinese are the CCP is pretty much driven by two main things. One is pragmatism, and two is fear. They were scared that these tech giants would one day topple them. So what did they do? They hammered them. Now their economy is going down the drain, and they need these tech giants to create the jobs so all these young people who are currently unemployed can actually do something with it. So there is a bull case to be made about some of these Chinese names, but it's all dependent on what the Chinese government does and what they say and how much they're willing to stimulate. So we'll see.
Can we do a quick 2 minutes on Bitcoin just because it dropped below 40 today?
Sure.
Just a,
Go ahead.
It was also-
is Bitcoin
it was also-
is Bitcoin dead, or is this good for everybody?
It was also in the well, it's become apparent to me that what we saw the run up leading up to the ETF was just that. It was a it was basically a sell the news sort of thing. But I do want to share something interesting that I was looking at today. So can you share this?
Yeah.
So this is where we are now. This is the 100-day moving average. We're moving down into that. But like we spoke about last time, Benjamin Cowan did a great video on why it seems like Bitcoin will go back down to test the bull market support band, which is somewhere in the 36, maybe even lowest 28. But one thing I find interesting here is like when we had the breakout, we traded at around this level, and I put these brackets here for these like key levels for Bitcoin, and now we've dipped below it. So we'll see. These are daily candles. Let me see what we are on the weekly.
We hit about 39.5 today at the lows, and we bounced back up.
All right, so we'll see. We'll see if we actually get there. But going back to the daily, here's one thing I was looking at. If you just look at the recent history of Bitcoin's price, why are these levels important? 40,000 and 46,000. Just go back a little bit. We basically were trading well below these levels. But the last time we were at these levels, look where we were. So when we were coming down, this was back in 2021. We were coming back down.
Carlos, put the mic closer to you. You're fading in and out a lot, dude.
I'm turning my head. If you look at where we were, this is when we were coming back down off of the double top peak that we had. You can see that there is a lot of action in Bitcoin, specifically it's right now at 45,000 and 40,000. You can see as we tanked down, we tried to hold it, then it failed. Popped back up, then it failed. Popped back up, hit that resistance, and then failed. Once it failed at the end of in May of 2022, we basically did not revisit those prices for a long time, and then we started trading at around these levels. At around 28,000, 24,000. Are we going to see that again? I don't know. But what is interesting is as we traded up and around these levels, when we finally did break out, there was almost no resistance back up to 40,000. So once it broke 28,000, there was almost no resistance back up to 40. So now what you're seeing is we're back up into 40, and we went back up here to retest this $46,000 level, which the last time we were there, the last time we broke that on the positive side was August 2021. We crossed it again a few times. We were unable to hold it since August 2021. So we're pushing up against resistance that was only broken through the last time Bitcoin hit its previous all-time high. So we've now broken below it. And so really there's nothing right now that's preventing Bitcoin from essentially dropping back down to $29,000. And in which case you can see what happens as we start to trade sideways, as basically buyers and sellers change hands. And this needs to become a new level of support before we can go higher. If what Benjamin is saying is correct, we will come back down on like a Bitcoin support band. And in the history of Bitcoin, with the exception of COVID, it's never really broken below that, especially in a pre-halving year. So we might be seeing the lowest prices coming up in Bitcoin that we're going to see in the relative future, say a year or so from now, because the halving is where this line is. This line here is when Bitcoin's inflation rate halves. I think it goes down to 450 Bitcoins. I think it's 450 a day. But Jesse was actually talking about that just this last week, as Bitcoin was coming down, that about $3 billion went into these ETFs, which now forces them to buy Bitcoin. So they basically bought up something like 77 days worth of the Bitcoin supply just in those $3 billion. If they try to do that after the halving, they'll be buying up 150 days worth. This is 150 days worth of miners mining Bitcoin, and they would basically be buying that up. This is one of the reasons why we're looking for so much upward pressure after the halving, because the amount of money that they're buying, there's just not enough new Bitcoins coming into the system to be able to absorb that and dilute the existing supply, so where you would get some sort of negative pressure. Plus, the miners are going to stop selling because now they're waiting for an appreciation on what they've been paid so that they can continue to fund their operation. So this could be a perfect little storm here coming up. And I'm sorry. There was another announcement that a couple of other countries are now fast tracking approvals for Bitcoin.
Like Hong Kong, yeah.
So
this is kind of crazy. I think China is undergoing their 2008 moment like we did. But the key to remember here, I think, is going to be around the disinflation that these guys are going to, or let me just say it outright, deflation that China is going to be exporting via all of this stimulus. So basically what happens is the government will subsidize the shit out of a crap ton of stuff, and then the Chinese will dump it across the globe, and the pricing of those of those goods and services will end up leading us into deflation. That could be a possibility here.
So okay, so I hear you correctly. They need to stimulate their economy. They printed a bunch of money. They've got a surplus of products, so they start selling them at heavily discounted rates just to move the products, essentially, all over the world. Now that over the world creates more supply, and therefore prices actually come down to match the discounted rate.
Yeah, like look at their EVs, right? Look at their photovoltaics with their solar. So basically, the Chinese government says, okay, I need to stimulate growth. How do I do it? Well, I can basically give these subsidies to these manufacturers, right? So that they can build more stuff, and we're paying to subsidize it. So even if, let's say, the product costs $100 to manufacture, the government says, hey, listen, we'll give you $25 to do the manufacturing. So it only costs you $75. And so now they can go out into the rest of the world and basically dump those things into that market at $85. So basically the company is still making a $10 profit, but only because the Chinese government was stimulating so much of that output. So right now you're seeing EV prices in Europe and some of the Asian part. The Chinese are just exporting the shit out of EVs. Same thing. So the Chinese right now could be exporting deflation next, where basically goods and services coming out of China are going to be cheaper. And if they are cheaper, that means that now for us as consumers of products, ends up being we have cheaper stuff. Yeah, more deflation, which is good. That's what we want. Right?
Alibaba's up 6% right now in China. Yeah. All right. We'll see what happens. We'll keep the story going over the next couple of days. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you tomorrow, 9 p.m. on Finance Junkies. Bye, everyone. Had a good one. Bye.
Take care.